Welcome. This is Samantha Skelly, and you are listening to the Hungry for Happiness podcast, where we dig deep and discover how to reconnect into your body, heal your relationship to food, and finally feel the liberation and freedom you desire. Kleenex is encouraged, and pants are optional. What's up, Phoenixes, and welcome back to the Hungry for Happiness podcast. You are listening to episode number 23 with Katie Dalebout. In this episode, Katie and I talk about expressing our true selves through journaling. I freaking love journaling, and for those of you who are not journalers, that's a word, I think. For those of you who are not journalers yet, it's not a word, it is a word now. Journaling is a beautiful way to just really release the emotionality that's trapped in our bodies, so we can really decipher the difference between what is true and what is not true. So whether we have an idea we need to process or an emotion, or we just literally need to dump our thoughts down, we can do that in a sacred space without any fear or judgment. Katie really speaks to this and shares how journaling has helped her connect to her highest self. In 2013, Katie launched the weekly podcast Let It Out, which now has over 100 episodes, and I'm on that podcast, so if you want to go check out that episode, you can head over there. She's an author of the Amazon best-selling book Let It Out, A Journey Through Journaling, which was published by Hay House in 2016, and has contributed to Hello Giggles Refinery 29 and Mind Body Green. Through her speaking and writing, she aims to help people develop a positive image to their bodies by embracing their creativity and personality outside their physicality. I hope you enjoy this episode. Before we jump into the episode, I just want to remind you that on February 24th and 25th, we are doing our live event called Untangled in Vancouver, BC. So this event is all about untangling who you're not to discover who you are. It is going to be so much fun. Early bird tickets are on until December the 31st. So if you want to come join us up in Vancouver, you can head over to www.hungryforhappiness.com/untangled, and we will see you at the event. What's up, Phoenixes, and welcome back to the Hungry for Happiness podcast. I am super excited for this episode, mainly because what we're going to talk about has truly changed the trajectory of my life and my connection to myself. And I first came across Katie a few years ago. We had a chat and I just loved what she's up to. So this episode is going to be about journaling, which is a huge topic in the Hungry for Happiness community. So Katie, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
You are welcome. So the first question we ask all our guests is, what is the number one thing about life that makes you feel most alive?
That's such a nice question. The first thing that comes to mind is conversation, relationships with other people, connecting with other people, collaborating with other people. I think that's when I feel most connected, most alive. I think when I'm by myself and I'm being creative, that's lovely as well. But I think when we can really play each other and connect with each other like an orchestra works together, I think when I feel most like I'm part of something bigger than myself.
That's beautiful. I love that. Would you say that you're an introvert or an extrovert?
So I'm really into, I'm not really into, but I'm on the Myers-Briggs personality test. I'm an ENFP. So that's the one right in the middle. So it's basically the least extroverted of the extroverts. So basically I need just as much time alone as I do time with people. So if I'm around people too much, I really need to recharge on my own. And if I'm with people too much, or vice versa, if I'm, so I need like equal measure of both, which is like a challenging thing to balance sometimes, but knowing yourself, I think those sorts of personality tests can be so helpful with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you basically have built your entire career on journaling, which is,
I guess.
That's what people like. That's what you're known for, is like really being able to inspire people to communicate their feelings through journaling. So I would just love to hear how you came about that, and like, why was that such a powerful tool for you in helping with your spiritual growth?
Yeah. I mean, I wrote a book about journaling that came out a little bit over a year ago. And the reason I wrote that, and the reason that topic was something that was important to me, was just because it was so cathartic to me, journaling. It was something something that I just kind of started doing. No one told me to journal. It wasn't really prescribed to me. It was something that I intuitively just started doing. I started writing for myself exclusively. I started to process what I was thinking and feeling in my mind onto paper. And it was the first time that I'd really been able to be completely authentic and raw and real and take off all the masks that we wear with society. I think we're constantly wearing these different masks in life, even without knowing it, just because we want to be liked, or we want to be accepted, or we want to be heard. So we're saying like, look at me, or we're saying like, don't see me, or everything in between. And so I was going through like a challenging thing in my life, and I had therapists and coaches and people all around me, family and friends, and really lovely people, but I never felt like I could truly be myself. I never felt like I could truly be authentic, because I was a little bit scared of judgment. I was a little bit afraid of, what if they see me? Will they really like me, or will I really be accepted? So I was constantly hiding a little bit. But in my journal, there was none of that fear of being accepted. I could say these really, really dark thoughts I was having, and put them down on paper and look at them. And I could also say these really, really light thoughts I had, like really lofty goals that I thought people would laugh at. And I was able to put those down too. And that was great, because all of these things swirling around in my head were no longer just in my head. They were out in front of me for me to look at and examine and decide which ones were true and which ones were maybe like old thought patterns holding me back that I was ready to let go of.
That's beautiful. So it really gives you a chance to like observe what's going on. I think when it's in our mind, when it's in our mind, it's almost like we have this felt sense of like ownership over the thought, and then when we put it down on paper and we actually look at it objectively, we're like, oh, that's a thought from like years ago, or that's a belief that I actually no longer have, or maybe that belief is like my mom's belief or society's belief. So it's a beautiful thing. I want to touch back on masks. This is such an interesting thing. And I think a lot of people don't even know that they're wearing these masks, but we put these masks on to exist in the world, to be loved or to be liked or to be not judged. And I would just love for you to talk briefly on what were some of the masks that you realized that you were wearing to protect yourself from judgment.
I think so many. I think I was really, really good at wearing masks. I think I'm really good at being a chameleon of like, I'm very empathetic to people. I'm really intuitive on, what people want, and then being able to mold myself into whatever that is.
Like the chameleon.
Yeah. So I would do that quite a bit where, I was abandoning myself, and that was fine. People wouldn't even know, but I knew, because I came home and I felt drained, and I felt, like I didn't get to connect, and no one saw me, and I wasn't getting anything from any of my interactions. And, to be honest, like I still wear masks now. Like I'm in social situations where, bless you.
Thank you.
Where I'm feeling, vulnerable, or I'm feeling like I can't be myself, or I'm having a weird day and I just want to be liked, and I still revert to putting masks on, but sometimes I'm aware of it, and sometimes I'm not even aware that I'm doing it, but I'm aware after, when I'm like, oh, why did that interaction feel so weird and forced? And it's like, oh, I wasn't being myself, bummer. And then I try to do it next time. And I think sometimes it's really, really hard. It's really, really hard to go out on a limb and take off all of the masks and completely be ourselves. But I think, I always feel better when I do. And then B, like, if I can make that choice and I can put myself out there and connect even a little bit of being myself, it's better than nothing. So sometimes like in a social situation, I'll try really hard to be myself in this one area, or bring this one element of realness into the interaction, where the rest of it might be about the other person. The rest of it might be, social niceties, but at this one particular part, I'm going to be vulnerable, and I'm going to take off the mask. I'm going to let them see me, you know? And I think
Cool.
that can be a way to do it. But the biggest way that you can take off the masks, the only way you can do it is if you first know yourself. You know, self-awareness is the key to being able to be yourself in any situation. And my only goal now is to be better at being myself, you know? Like,
I love that. I love that. Okay. I want to touch on something that is super important that you're talking about. And I just want to like wrap it up so people have context. Like what I loved about what you just shared is it's really about having like, I call it like game time decisions. So like when you're actually there in the moment and you're feeling triggered, you're feeling like, oh, a little bit sticky with the interaction. It's like, that's when you make the decision to be like, okay, just let me be a little bit vulnerable in this one conversation or this one area. And I love that because so often it's like, we'll just judge ourselves for how we showed up. And then we'll go home and we'll just judge ourselves even more and feel shame, where we could have created such a beautiful transition in the moment when we were with that person. And I love how you shared that because it's really powerful.
yeah.
Really, really powerful.
I think it's all about like not being hard on ourselves too, and just being gentle. Like, you know, sometimes you'll go to a party and you'll have some weird conversations, you'll have some good conversations, and that's life. Or you'll really fully show up in that meeting, or you'll really fully make the creative project you want to make. And sometimes it might not be so great, but just knowing that, you know, you're human and have some awareness and do better the next time. You know?
Yeah.
I think this is a lot for me, at least. It's a lot of like 10 steps forward, 8 back, you know?
Right.
You know, or 5 forward, 3 back, or, you know, it's just, it's constantly changing, and hopefully we're always growing, but sometimes we might not be, and that's okay too.
Yeah, absolutely. Something that you touched on that I want to just go back is when you were talking about journaling, you said, I get to put down my deepest, darkest thoughts onto paper. And I think for a lot of people like that's a very scary thing, right? A lot of us don't want to acknowledge that we have that side. We don't want to acknowledge that side of us literally exists in us. It doesn't mean it is us, but that part of us does exist within us. And so I'm just super curious, like, was there a time where you were like really scared to like write those things down and actually realize that they're a part of you? And if you were, like, how did you handle the relationship to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I always am, but I know now that it's so cathartic to do so, and it makes me feel so much better to just kind of get them out of my head. It's kind of like we don't want to see our own blood. Like we don't want to, it scares us. So we almost don't want to look at it. We want to just be like, these emotions are in here somewhere. I'll just like shove them down and deal with them later. Or else, and I think the more we do that, the more we tap out of life, you know, the more we like push it down with food or alcohol or relationships, or we cope instead of feel. But eventually I think we need to feel. We need to actually like take these things that are shadow parts of us and let them rise to the surface. And it's kind of like a beach ball, where like if you have a beach ball underwater and you're pushing it under the water, you're using all of your strength and all of your willpower to do that, and eventually it's going to pop up and it's going to make a huge splash. But if you just let it out, that's the title of my book. If you just literally let it out of you, it will just come out and there won't be a splash and it's fine. And you can just feel like you want.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah. So I think it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of like, you know, just allow these things to come up, to come out of you, deal with them. So then that way you don't have to, it doesn't have to be a huge splash. It doesn't have to, you can, once you look at them and allow them to come to the surface, then you can deal with them, then you can move forward, then you can live the life that you really want to be living, instead of being held back by your fears or these things that are just swirling around within you undealt with.
How do you deal with fears, like in your business or with moving forward when those fears come up? Like, what is the conversation that you have to those fears so that they don't stop you from taking action, stop you from moving forward?
That's a really good question. I mean, I think I'm constantly scared. Like I'm constantly, it's not, I don't know if fear is the right word. I guess it's just like this like impending, like comparison is always hard, and worry, and like I'm not doing enough, or I'm not creating enough, or I mean I'm not enough, period. You know, I think those thoughts are just being human, being a woman in this world. And I try to just be like, okay, that's okay that you feel that way. I get it, but let's still make something. Let's still move forward. And I'm someone who I'm lucky in the sense that I'm really good at being imperfect. So I'll put things out there knowing that they're imperfect. And I've always been of the mindset that like done is better than perfect. So I'm really good at just putting things out there. I'm not a perfectionist. So that's something I have in my fate. It's not actually, I don't know if it's a good thing, but I've kind of used it as a good thing for creating what I have. And I think it's just being like, we all have different strengths in the world. And, as a kid, I remember growing up and thinking like, I'm not smart enough. I'm not cool enough. I'm not pretty enough. And now I'm just kind of realizing that like, I might not be smart or cool or pretty as so-and-so, but we all have like these individualized strengths. So if we can just focus on what we're good at and what we like and kind of put blinders on to the comparison, I think that's the best way to deal with fear, because the comparison is just going to keep you so stuck.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I think we were talking about comparison in the society in our group program the other day, and I was explaining it as like when we compare ourselves to someone else, what that means is like that person has a gift that we have inside of us, but we've just not allowed ourselves to like fully express that gift and allow that gift to like unfold. Yeah. And so for instance, it's like, I would not compare myself to a scientist because that's not my gift. Like, I'm not a scientist. Like, there's no way I want to do that. There's no way I probably could do it, but I wouldn't be very good. That's not my gift. But it's like, I see people who have my same gift and I go, why is it so easy for them? Or why do I have to work so hard to get it? And so if we can just notice ourselves in that experience and just go, okay, all that means is like that person's reflecting something in me that is repressed and I'm not allowing it to come out. And we change the script, then we can change comparison, which is truly an awful feeling, into like the potential of possibility and what is possible for us.
Exactly. Well said.
Mm-hmm. So how did you discover your gifts? Because I feel like you have quite a good sense of what your unique gifts are. How did you discover what they were?
Oh, thank you. I mean, I think I'm still figuring it out. I still have no idea what I want my life or my business to be or what I want to make in the world. I think I'm just kind of saying yes to what's directly in front of me. But I think what you said there about, what's helped me figure out that I wanted to write a book or that I wanted to start a podcast was really comparison, I guess you could say. Me looking at other people and being like, oh, that's really cool and interesting. And instead of being jealous, being like inspired. Oh, maybe I could do that. I started a podcast because I was like, well, I like listening to podcasts. Maybe I could do that. And before that, I started a blog because I was reading blogs and loving blogs. And I was like, yeah, maybe I could do that.
That's so awesome.
And same thing with writing a book. It was kind of the same thing. So I think I don't know what's next for me. I don't know what else I'm going to make or do or create. But I think that's usually how it happens for me, is me just being inspired by other people, other things that I've found really useful, and thinking how I can do something that's of that value to someone in the world.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I want you guys to really listen to what Katie said there, because that's so important. Because really all that person do is mirroring what is exactly possible for you. And so use it as inspiration, use it as a chance for you to be like, wow, that's so cool. Like that is someone truly living out their potential. And we are all balls of light and love, and we can all create the same amount of thing. We can all do that. So I love that. That was my next question for you is visioning something that you spend a lot of time doing? Like, do you have like a 1-year vision, a 5-year vision? Do you have like an idea of like what it is that you want to move into and create? Like, what's your process for doing that?
I would love to do that, and I want to do that, but I don't. And I think, in the past I've been like, I really wanted to write a book. And so I did that. And I really wanted to move to New York, and I did that. And I think I'm kind of at this point right now where I don't really know what my future is. I don't know what I'm working on now. And I'm craving more of that. I think like we're moving into the fall. I'm kind of craving some more internal time to sit and vision and figure out the direction of what I want and what my next creative project is. But to be honest, I haven't had a process with that, but I have, some goals and some things, but really I've just been kind of working on making my life as a whole really great and not just one element. And, just spending time traveling and with my boyfriend and with, reading and like doing things like that, which is great. But I think I'm kind of itching for the next thing I'm going to make. And it's easy to get caught into the day-to-day of emails and admin stuff. And that's been taking so much of me that I'm actually kind of craving that visioning. So it's funny that you brought that up.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I used to spend all of my time visioning. You know, I'm like, if you were to look up like visionary in the dictionary, like that's me. Like my whole life is spent like visioning. And then I spent so much time in that arena that I'm like, okay, Sam, but what about right now? Like, what about what you're creating right now? Like, why don't you be grateful for like where we're at in this space? So it's like this balance of like, how can we go into the future and just really visualize and create and feel what we want while having gratitude for what is? And so that is my balance right now. It's like the opposite, right? It's like taking it from the vision and like bringing it back into like the real day and being like, but this is really beautiful. Like, how cool is this? That's almost like the crux of a visionary is we tend to spend so much time in our 5-year plan that we are not, we can't, like, it's like the potential to not be present and grateful for what is right in front of us.
Yeah.
Let's talk about gratitude and journaling. People love this. So I know a lot of people, when they talk about gratitude, it's very much like, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for this. And they don't really feel it. I'd love if you have one. Do you have a process of how you incorporate gratitude and journaling into one to make it like a very powerful, visceral experience?
Yeah. So there's, my book is 55 journaling exercises. So it's journaling prompts in all different areas of life. So there's tools for getting organized, tools for relationships and body and everything in between. And there's one tool in the book, and like I said, it came out like almost a year and a half ago, and I wrote it like a whole year before that, so it's hard for me to like recall the but there's a tool called like the gratitude tool to end all gratitude tools, because it has like every possible gratitude journaling thing I could ever think of creating. But there is, like you said, there's science that instead of just writing down the things that you love and the things that you're grateful for, writing down why and getting very specific on one each day and trying to make it different. So that's part of it. And then, you know, I also had people write down, you know, 3 things you're grateful for in the day. And then also, you know, 3 things you're looking forward to tomorrow. You know, there's just so many ways you can incorporate gratitude into your life. And I think it really is powerful writing it down. I think there's something really powerful about doing it, you know, in the morning or before bed or whenever it works for you. But I think that like pen to paper, writing it down even in your phone or on your computer or whatever, like getting it again out of your head and seeing it is really powerful. And there, I mean, everyone listening, I'm sure already knows this, but there have been millions of studies about how gratitude is the key to happiness. And I think when I believe that the universe is, you know, something that we can communicate with and have a relationship with. And when we send gratitude for what we already have, we can create more of that and what we want in the future. And I think whenever you say thank you, you can say, you know, more of this, please. And
yes.
This too. And I think if we're not grateful for what we have, it's really difficult to grow and move forward. Or and not even that, it's like we might grow and move forward, but we'll just want more. So we'll never be happy.
That's it. Absolutely. Yeah. It's really interesting. We talk about this a lot in the Hungry for Happiness community, this whole point of we have to accept what is before we transform, right? There has to be this like honesty with what is and gratitude for what is and acceptance before, because that's what gains traction, right? So I always say, if you don't love yourself at a size 14, you're not gonna love yourself a size 2, right? We have to fundamentally learn the acceptance so we have the traction. And same thing with you know, with what we're talking about with gratitude. It's like, if you are blessed with so much abundance and so much goodness in your life, and you're not appreciating that, like what we appreciates, right? If you're not appreciating that, then, and you're trying to attract all these other things into your life, you're just like it literally never ends. You'll always want more money. You'll always want more things. You'll always want fancier cars. You'll always want, nicer homes or better looking boyfriends or whatever is valuable to you. Yeah. And I remember this when I was starting Hungry for Happiness, and it was literally, I had like no money to start this company, but I was so grateful for every single dollar that came in. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I treated it like it was hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that helped me so much, not only like heal my relationship with money, but just like get the energy around like gratitude with money. Like I'm responsible with it, like bring it in and let it flow out. And like, it just allows me to have this like beautiful relationship where it can come in and it can come out with ease and grace and flow. So I love that.
Yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it's so funny. I think people listening, it's like one of those things where it's like you hear something a million times and sometimes and like finally it lands. And like there's a reason why people talk about gratitude so much. There's a reason why, and it's because it like Katie said, there's science behind this. It legitimately works. And I would invite those of you who've heard this a million times on podcasts and maybe not have done it, to try the process that Katie talked about and really incorporate your body into it and really feel that felt sense of gratitude. Not just don't just think about it. Mm-hmm. Katie, what would you say something that you're super grateful for right now?
I'm really grateful that I live in New York. I've wanted to move here since I was a kid, and I finally made it happen. I only moved here a couple of months ago, so I'm really grateful that I did it, and I'm here, and I don't know what the future is, but this was like a big thing for me this year, and I'm happy that I'm here.
What do you feel your relationship to uncertainty is?
It's getting better. I haven't typically been very good with it. I'm like most people, I like the illusion of control. I believe that like we really don't have control of anything, but I really like the illusion of it, which, brought on my food issues, brought on my, like living, like not moving issues. I think it's easy to get stuck in life because we cling to, the illusion of control, but really I think it's being okay to be in that uncertainty. But my threshold for uncertainty is rather low, but I'm trying to be more okay with the fact that I don't know what the future is. I don't know. I really like looking forward to things. So I think uncertainty is kind of hard for that.
I know what you mean. Talk to me about illusion of control. When did you realize that control was just an illusion, and how did that come through for you?
I think it really came through for me with food and body image things. I think we cling to the sense that we can control our weight and we can control what we're eating and we can control all of that. But I think when we really let go of control and lean into intuitive eating and stopping dieting and really just being like, my weight's going to be what it's going to be, and that's okay, and that health exists at every single size, and that's okay, and that's amazing, and thank goodness body diversity exists. And I think when I was really able to kind of see that with myself and my body, I was kind of able to bring that into other areas of my life of like, I don't know what relationships are going to be, but I'm going to just be myself and try to make myself as happy as I can. And same thing with career. Like, I don't know what I'm going to make or, how I'm going to support myself, but I'm going to just do the best I can with where I'm at right now and saying yes to just what's directly in front of me. I think that's kind of the best way to handle the uncertainty that is our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of people listening struggle with food in their body. Of course, that's why they listen to this podcast. So would you mind sharing just a little snapshot of your story and maybe like one or two things that you feel were like the biggest catalyst to allow you to like heal from that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think the illusion that anyone is ever completely healed, I think is really important to demystify of like, no one is ever 100% perfect with their body and their food all the time. And I think if anyone's telling you that they are, then they're probably lying and you probably shouldn't listen to them. I think it's constantly like walking a tightrope, and you fall and you come back on and you keep going. And I think that's, one thing that's been helpful to me there. And to just know, when you're having a bad day, like with your body image or with your, you know, with what you ate and how you feel, and just coming back to like, you're not alone. Everyone kind of feels this way, and you don't have to, but it's not your fault. It's the fault of the diet industry that's telling you that you need to look a certain way, or you need to eat a certain way, or you need to be trying to control your food, or whatever it's telling you that you need to be doing. And I think instead looking at it as like, the diet industry is actually a thief of your life. Like, you're putting all of your time into Googling paleo recipes or looking at beautiful vegan food when you could be just like living your life, or, you know, having an interaction with someone or having a conversation with someone. And I think it's robbing us from living our lives. So I think getting angry about that and looking at it from a feminist perspective and from a sociological perspective of like questioning, you know, why have I valued thinness? Like, why is fat bad and thin good? Is this just a social construct? Because actually throughout history, whatever is difficult to attain is what we value as gold, right? Like, whatever is most challenging to attain, whatever costs the most money and resources to attain. So in certain cultures, you know, fat women are perceived as the most beautiful and what men are lusting after because that's what's difficult to attain. And, you know, and throughout history, there's been periods in time where that has been the case. Whereas now with the health and wellness movement and, you know, with the fashion industry, obviously thin is perceived as beautiful, where fat for some reason isn't, where that's just a social construct in our minds that has been reinforced to us since the time we were watching Disney movies, you know, like I remember the only fat character in Disney movies is Ursula that I can think of, and she was evil, you know, so you're from a young age being told that fat is bad and thin is good. And I think if we can look at this as like questioning, you know, why am I even wanting to be like this? And then also being like, well, the world that I live in is really, you know, effed up, and the world that I live in values thin people, and their thin privilege exists, and people are discriminated on the basis of size and weight every single day. And I don't say that to like get people to diet even more. I say that to people to be like, maybe I can make this a social choice that I'm going to be myself regardless of my size. And I'm going to show up regardless of my size. And this is like a systemic problem that, you know, I don't know the answer to, and I don't think it's going to be healed in our lifetime. But I mean, for me, like, I had an eating disorder in my early 20s, and I healed from that sort of, but then I kind of went into more of orthorexia, where I was super into wellnessy things and from, you know, not really a healthy place. And then I learned more about body image and health at every size and Dr. Linda Bacon's work. And I really highly recommend that book, Health at Every Size, and Dr. Linda Bacon's work, and, you know, looking at weight from a perspective of, you know, science and how it really doesn't impact our health in this way that we think it does. And I think those things are really important and really opened me up to realize that, you know, this is something that I'm still learning about. And of course I still have bad days, and I still, you know, judge my body, but it's so much better than it was. And I'm at a point where I'm able to be like, okay, this is the way I'm feeling today, but I'm going to keep moving forward anyway. And I'm not alone. And, you know, I think the more we can just focus on our life and making our life as a whole really great, and not just our body or not just our career, not just our relationships, but everything, like putting our time and focus into our life and fun rather than our body and our fitness or our food being really perfect. I think that's when the other stuff kind of just balances out and ends up being okay. The less you think about it and the less you're trying to control it, you know?
So I have a question for you. Thank you for that. That was super clear and really, really great. The body positivity movement.
Yeah.
The feedback, a lot of the feedback that I get about the body positivity movement is women feel an incredible pressure to love their bodies, even though they want to be thinner, even though they want to feel lighter and more alive. And so I'd love your thoughts on this. Like, what do you think? Because the intentionality behind the body positive movement is beautiful. Love your body, you know, love the skin that you're in, health at every size. The consumption of people, like people consuming that message, number one, a lot of people have shared, it gives me permission to not be healthy. And number two, they feel, I feel what I've heard is like they have a lot of pressure to love their body when they simply don't love their body. So I would love your insight or intake on that if you have one.
Well, I think, health is becoming a moral issue. It's becoming a class system even, where I think, looking at like, why do people want to be healthy? Like, is healthy really just a way to lose weight? Like, and questioning like, why do you want to lose weight? Do you want to lose weight because you think that losing weight will bring you the relationship, the job, the career? Do you think that losing weight will bring you, like, what do you think happens by losing weight? And then being like, how can you get those things now in the body that you're in? Because the secret is that, like, you're just like you said, like, regardless of size, nothing magically changes mentally when you lose weight. And there's been a million studies of like, health really does exist at every single size. Like, you are not unhealthy if you are at a bigger weight than someone else. Someone who is bigger could be just as healthy as someone who is smaller, or more healthy than someone that is smaller. It has no bearing. And, people don't believe that, and that's kind of countercultural. But again, Dr. Linda Bacon's work is like rooted in science, and I'll refer to that. But so I think just asking the question of, if you're wanting to be healthy and you're wanting to eat healthy things most of the time or some of the time because it truly makes you feel good and you enjoy it and it enriches your life, then great. But if you're doing it from a place of you want to be thinner, then that's a diet. And I think diets never work. And I think diets will always leave people, they're the best way to gain weight, first of all, like, just saying. And also they're like the best way to leave people unfulfilled and unhappy and focused on something that really doesn't matter, when there's so many things that need to be done in the world, and there's so much that people can do to create a better world and just add, more art to the world, more like, there's time you could be spending with your family or with your friends or doing anything other than counting calories or trying to eat healthy or sitting on your hands, or I don't know. I just think that I don't think the body positive movement is doing anything in that sense of making people, quote, give up on being healthy. I think it's just all the intentionality around why people want to be healthy. Like, I love a green smoothie as much as the next guy, but I don't think having a green smoothie to lose weight is okay. I think having a green smoothie because you like it, it makes you feel good and you want to, is great. Or, you've been feeling sick and you want to feel better. Or I think intuitively eating, intuitively making choices with food, that truly getting honest with yourself of like why you're making the choices you're making is really what's most important.
I think you nailed it. Honesty. And we need to treat this like on a case-by-case situation, because someone shouldn't feel bad if they want to feel healthier, but they should also be honest about the intentionality of why they want to do that. Because we're really good at lying to ourselves, and we're really good at being in denial. And we can do these health kicks, which are not actually health kicks. They're just, I did it. I was like, I'm going to be vegan. I didn't actually care about health. I just wanted to be skinnier, during my times of disordered eating. So it's like, everything is okay, but are we being honest with where we're at? I think that absolutely dials it in.
Yeah, I agree. And I've done the same thing. I've done like every kind of diet or health thing that you could possibly do. And then I'm just like, why don't we I think I'm actually the healthiest and I like my body the most when I'm not thinking about it.
Yeah.
When I'm just living my life and I'm eating what I want to eat and I'm drinking what I want to drink and I'm staying up later than when I'm not being perfect with all the wellnessy things, I'm actually like feeling and looking my best. So I've come to realize like it's about just making your life as a whole really great and not being so rigid. Because when I was the most rigid and I was eating perfectly and I was getting the perfect amount of sleep and I was dry brushing and I was having the warm water with lemon and I was doing all the things, I was like my most unhealthy. So
Isn't that so funny? Isn't that so funny? I love how you keep bringing it back to like the totality of your life, It's like not about this one thing. Like that thing is not going to fulfill the rest of it. Like, are you intentionally fulfilling the rest of your life? I love that. There was one thing that I wanted to ask you, and now it's like, squirreled. I totally just squirreled there. Well, what's that?
It'll come to you.
It'll come to me at like 3:00 in the morning. I'm like, darn, I should have asked her that.
Okay.
You're incredible. I can feel your passion for this subject, and I know like what you shared, our listeners are going to get a lot of value. So thank you so much. I know you have to run, so thank you so much for spending time with us here on the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much. You're beautiful and so sweet, and thank you so much for having me. This was really fun.
You're welcome, love. How can people get a hold of you and your book and all the fun things?
Cool. So I'm just a Google away. Katie Dalebout. I'm at Katie Dalebout on Instagram. That's probably like where I'm most active, but also Twitter, Snapchat, everything. Cool. And my book is at bookstores and on Amazon. It's called Let It Out. And my podcast comes out every Wednesday, and it's called Let It Out as well.
You changed your podcast name.
Yes. Yeah.
Love it.
It used to be The Wellness Wonderland, but like I said, it's not really about wellness. I think wellness is part of it, but it's about making your life as a whole really great. So
beautiful. I love that. That's great. Well, thank you, Katie, so much for being on the show, and we will see you soon.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode on the Hungry for Happiness podcast. You can join the conversation with women just like yourself at hungryonfacebook.com. Until next week, ladies, stay classy and badassy.